Hey guys, what's up? Plaz here, and today we're going to be going over a mill deck that I just came up with. Well, I'm not sure if anyone else has done this, but it seems like a really fun deck, and I want to share it because this isn't really a competitive deck. It's just like really fun. I'll just show you guys the quick deck list. But anyways, I kind of want to talk about the whole strategy behind this. So anyways, right here we have Absolute X with Dark Fang. Flip a coin of heads, discard random card from their opponent's hand. Now this is really good. This is kind of like the surprise tech, you have as like your secondary attacker, because you could do damage with this, but you really don't want to. You want to get rid of cards from their hands. So let's say a late game. This is really helpful late game where let's say you end them down to one card, right? Just one, and then you Dark Fang them. And then let's say that their one card was a Sycamore or some way out of that only one card. Or let's say like an Auxiliary to evolve, like if they don't already have an Auxiliary. Or an Oranguru, stuff like that that's commonly played. Or Oranguru's not as commonly played, but you guys know what I mean. Yeah. Dark Fang is here to help you out. Also, this can be used early game to hopefully get rid of cards that they need later that they can't get back. Next up we have Houndoom EX, which they could get back, but you guys know what I mean. Anyway, so right here we have Houndoom EX, Melting Horn, discard the top two cards of your opponent's deck. You could also do damage with this, but you really don't want to. This is only like, for desperation, you really want to go for the Absol. But here, Melting Horn, you discard the top two cards of your opponent's deck. That should be enough over the course of maybe like 10 turns. If they can't pull off enough ends, they're pretty much done. Next up, we have Crushing Hammer to discard energy. Now, especially with decks like a Gardevoir, you won't be able to get off all the energy because then they can just Twilight. But if you can force them to Twilight early game with this Absol, then you can really mess up some stuff with these hammers. Next up, we got Enhanced Hammer to get rid of those DCs fast. No, I do not run Ultra Ball because you want to conserve your resources. So, and all you run in here is just 6 basic Pokemon. So yeah. Oh, sorry. So yeah, here you go. Nest Ball. This is a bit easier to read. So if you guys don't know what it does, pause there. Okay, so this is a really surprising thing, but we have 4 Acerola. The reason why I'm doing this is because this deck, both of your milling tactics only take 1 energy. So let's say you Acerola because they have like a ton of damage on them. Hey, look at that! You can just like reattach it unless you're attached, which that's not very smart. You shouldn't be attaching every single turn with this deck unless you have to. Now the first 2 turns, I get attaching like 1 energy to your Houndoom in the active, or preferably one of your Absols. And then maybe attaching just to something on the bench in case it gets like one-shot it magically. So yeah, that helps. Actually, we do run 1 copy of Brock's Grit. Now, this is because, let's say, both of your Absols are discarded or knocked out, which there's ways to get it discarded, obviously. Then yeah, it really helps. Also with the few basic energy in here, if you can't find any more, Brock's Grit, and then pray that you will top deck 1, or you can draw into 1 with your draw support. Next up, we have 2 Delinquent to help out with the idea of running Absol, because you can possibly discard 4 cards from your hand. Now, this would destroy Alliance, and this would force a lot of Gardevoirs to use their Twilight GX attack early game, which is how you're going to be able to get off all their energy, and then be able to rush in with, not Keldeos. I mean, like you come in with this Houndoom, and then you just Melting Horn the heck out of them, and then bam, they're done. Next we have 2 Guzma. We only run 2 because you really want to focus on the milling, but if you have to bring up something that can't retreat, like an Oranguru, an Octillery, or anything like that, just go for it. There's no risk unless you can't retreat. Normally, you'd want to only have 2 Pokemon, 2 to 3 Pokemon on your board at once to avoid Guzmas, or to avoid being a Guzma target. Next up, we have 4 copies of N to draw and to maybe mess around with our opponent's hand. Because if you're going for the mill option and not trying to stick them out, I mean like if they're already in a terrible position, like, and they have a good hand. If you destroy their hand and then end, that might not be good. But if they had a, but I don't know, it depends, because like if they're really close, like to decking out, and they still have like 4 prizes, probably that's gonna happen. Then you can destroy their hand with no less than they're 2 cards away from decking out. You just start messing their hand up with like a dark thing and all that stuff, and then that same turn, if you don't get enough down, you could delinquent and then later and the next turn to deck them out next turn. But if you could, you'd want to deck them out right there, but it's probably not possible. Next up, we have 2 copies of Plumeria. This is our second option for. This is one of our many options of taking off energy to force your opponent into either conceding or just accepting that they're going to deck out at some point. So yeah, there you go. There are a lot of options for this. Next up, we have 4 copies of Professor Sycamore to discard your hand and draw 7 cards. Now, this is helpful for like turn 1 if you have to get some hammers in your hand for that next turn, or get an ace roll already, or maybe even set up like some mill options and energy denial. Yeah, this is really helpful. Next up, we have 4 copies of Team Flare Grunt to discard energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon, because it's important to have as many options as you can, because in this new standard format without the BS Seekers, it is really hard to just roll with like 4 Team Flare Grunts, maybe like 1 or 2 Team Rocket's Handiwork, and then be completely good. And then like 1 a delinquent, you know. Like, you need to run as many options as you can to then draw into them frequently, and then also be able to play a lot of them. Quantity, you know, it just really matters now in this format. Now, next up, we have Team Rock's Hammer. We have 4 copies of this because you might want to speed up their decking out. You might want to speed up their decking out by just playing this. You know, like if you really have nothing else to do, turn 1, you can force Gardevoir into playing that Precious GX attack if you really can, because let's say you get rid of like, let's say like you flip heads once and you get rid of like a Gardevoir and then something else like a rare candy, which is pretty impossible, or let's say an Ultra Ball or a Ralts, then they're gonna wanna at some point, if they prize 1 Gardevoir, they might have like 1 or 2 left, so they might want to use that GX attack. If you keep on doing this at some rate, you're going to get rid of stuff that they need in their first 3 turns. And if they can't get that rare candy Gardevoir combo out fast, then they're out of luck. And then at some point, they're going to keep on trying, and then if they try, they get decked out by Houndoom. Then if they don't try, they get their hands destroyed by Delinquent. So you know, it's kind of like a trade-off for them. It is a huge risk for Gardevoir, but yeah. Next up, we have 3 copies of Team Flare Grunt. Team Skull Grunt. Because turn 1, this could be another. We have a lot of options like for turn 1 spores. Now, if you weren't going budget, like if you really weren't going budget, then what I would recommend is just. Oh well. Anyways, what I would recommend is playing maybe like 1 Team Skull Grunt, 3 Team Rock's Handiwork, 4 Flare Grunt, 1 Plumeria, and then maybe keep 2 Acerola and then 2 Delinquent, and then take up the Brush Rip, because you'll have Tapu Lele, so then, you know, obviously you're going to use Tapu Lele to get your supporters out quickly. And then we have 4 copies of Bursting Balloon to help. Now, this card will help you out a lot in a pinch, because you can really put on 6 damage counters onto your active Pokemon. So let's say they need to attack you. Let's say like Gardevoir. Like if they can get a 2-shot in, they're going to pay the price for it by taking damage back. So then later in the game, if you can get a Dark Edge off, you know, like if you really can, so grab that knockout, so then you get them really stuck, do it. But then yet again, you really want to focus on necking them out. So they might be scared of the Bursting Balloon, but for you, you know that it really won't matter if they attack you or not. But then, if they don't attack you because of the fear that you'll bring out like a Dark Edge, if they don't realize what type of deck you're playing, and they think that like, you're playing some like weird rogue deck, then you're good. Next up, you have 4 copies of Rainbow Energy, because if you look right here, 1 energy for that first milling attack. 1 energy. So then you could easily play Rainbow Energy, and then yeah. Next thing we have 4 copies of Fire Energy. Now I chose Fire over Dark because you will be using these for the majority of the game, but then you will also be using this to destroy their hands. So you could go for 4 Dark, then take out like 1 Houndoom, and then play like a 3-3 split. But my option is that because you want to be able to maybe use this, and you could run a Floatstone, so then you almost have a guaranteed start with this. But this is like a really hit or miss deck for me. Like if you get like a guard matchups, be great because you play mostly supporters. If you can get rid of all their energy and they can't get it back, then they're out of luck. And then you could just like watch them deck out as you play all of your items. You know, and you really don't run that many items. So yeah. So anyways, guys, that is my deck profile for this little budget milling deck. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you guys like, so make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I guess I'll see you guys later. Take care, everyone, and peace out, guys. Woo. That's the wrong button, man.